Quest Audiobooks presents an unabridged recording of And Is There Honey Still for Tea? By Peter Murphy, narrated by Nick Holbek. Chapter 1. Sir James Digby. Of the days of my earliest childhood, before I started school, I remember little. I remember bright autumn days, when the garden was covered with brown leaves fallen from the oak and sycamore trees, which bounded the garden, which Sykes had not yet swept away. On breezy days I watched as the leaves were swept off the ground and glided across the lawns haphazardly in the swirling eddies of the breeze. I imagined the leaves in a race, and traced a finishing line near the house with my shoe, and appointed myself judge of the winners. When the breeze was not strong enough for them to race without assistance, I would take Sykes's broom, which he always left propped up against the same corner of the garden shed, and furiously brush the leaves along the path towards the finishing line. I remember rainy days in winter, when I was not allowed in the garden, when I would sit in the living room on the sofa and watch the patterns made by the raindrops as they traced their paths down the window pane, and tried to guess which drop would be the first to disappear into the general dampness as it reached the wood of the window frame. I remember light summer evenings, when it was difficult to go to sleep because it was not yet dark, hearing the voices of my parents and their friends, and the older children of their friends, in the garden below my window, the sound floating dreamily up to where I lay restless in bed. I remember that before I did go to sleep on such evenings, I would hold my breath for some time. How long, I did not know, allowing the sounds to pass through my head until they merged and lost all meaning, and that by this means I had the power to go into my mind to another place, in which there was no sound, a place which was still and had no limits at all. And I remember standing with my parents and with Roger on the dark platforms of the grey railway stations of Manchester and Crewe, when we went away for holidays, watching with awe as the huge steam locomotives puffed their way slowly to a stop, making more noise than should have been possible in the world, as they pushed their steam out and upwards towards the soot-coated glass of the roof high above. I knew from an early age that my family was different. My father was always known as Sir Alfred. All my friends' fathers were addressed as Mr., except for the one or two who were doctors. I knew that our house, an early 18th century manor house in the countryside, outside Clitheroe in the heart of the Ribble Valley, was far bigger than the houses most...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?